Hey, y'all. Happy Tuesday. Thanks for being here. I like that beat drop, man. I know it's like some other stuff, some dub fest, lo-fi, whatever it is, bro. I don't even know. But shout out to that song, the intro. Hey, I'm RicoKnows. You probably can't read the text on the bottom of the screen because I'm wearing my red Georgia shirt today. Went out and got some new fits, bruh. I'm nice with it. I lost some weight. I feel really good. I'm in the best shape I've been in at least 2 years. 2 years, sweetie? 2 years. Been grinding really hard in the gym. Been trying to change my life. And I just want to tell you guys, when you make it, there's nothing better than looking good. Nothing better than looking good, feeling good, smelling good. They pay good. Man, I made it in life, and there's no excuse for not being in the best shape of your life. So I've been going to the gym every day, about 2 or 3 hours a day, and just grinding. Don't care. Got nothing else better to do but to grind, other than work for the MVPs. Shout out to the MVPs. Now, thank you guys for being here on this Tuesday. If you didn't know, the theme of the show today is the Big Ten and the MAC. It's all that region of America where it gets really cold in November and December. Right now, it's perfect football weather. So there's a bunch of games going on. Oh, by the way, I do know there are other teams in the Big Ten that have nothing to do with that upper region. We're talking about USC, Oregon, Washington. I know, but we'll get to it. So I'm going to always start with the news. And the news, I keep it pretty light. I just talk about injury reports, and then we keep it moving. Then we'll talk about the results from last week and then the games. Please put your comments in the chat. If you're watching on TikTok right now, move over to YouTube. I don't interact with the chat on TikTok. Move over to YouTube. You can put it in there, and I will interact with you and answer your questions. Hopefully, we don't have a lot of questions today, and I can get along with my day. All right. Unfortunately, one thing I do want to say before I move on is there is Dana White Contender Series tonight. It is a Tuesday. Typically, I live stream the Contender Series and provide commentary, betting advice for the MVPs on Tuesday nights at 8 p.m. Eastern. It's week 6, I believe. There's 10 weeks of Dana White Contender Series. Week 6, this is going to be the second week out of the 6 that I'm going to have to sit it out and maybe not live stream it. I don't think I'm going to because I have to be up really early in the morning. I have some other responsibilities, and I have to be up at like 2 a.m. Seriously. So I'm going to probably go to bed early tonight. I have a long road trip and some other things I need to take care of. That being said, Dana White Contender Series, I already broke down all 5 of the fights in a free video. I posted it on YouTube and Patreon. If you're a free member, if you're a free MVP or a free member of the Patreon, shout out to all you guys. I think we have over 4,600 members now, but get over there. I had a guy ask me today on TikTok. He said, Rico, what's your record against the spread? And I said, it doesn't matter, man. My MVPs, their whole goal in life is to beat my record. Like, you don't have to take all my misses. You can hit all the greens. You can hit everything I miss. He goes, are you telling me you don't want people to use your picks against the spread? And I said, yeah, that's what I'm saying. Don't use my picks. Use my analysis. I improve everybody's record. I'm the reason they're better at what they're doing. I'm here to educate you on sports, not give you a cheat sheet and a list for you to tail and win a bunch of money. That's not how it works. It's gambling, bro. Things are going to go wrong. So get the list. I'm the textbook for the test. You still got to take the test. Every answer you're looking for is in the textbook. I promise. I promise every time I talk about these teams, I am intelligently giving you all the information I have to that extent, at that moment, given the circumstances. But come game day, these are 18 to 22-year-old kids for the most part, and they're the most inconsistent thing in the world. Along with coaches making poor decisions, opposition trying to stop you, weather and referees. There's a lot of variables that come into play. That's how it happens. That's how you get bad beats. That's how you get, you miss sometimes. It happens. It's life. But anybody out there looking for a cheat sheet and saying, Rico, I just want to tail all your picks. I want to be rich. Get back to your day job, bro. Get back to your day job. It's not for you. Gambling's not for you, and winning isn't for you. I promise. Okay? It's just the reality of the situation. Nonetheless, let's go talk about the news now. Thank you for being here. Remember, if you have something you want to add in the chat, a comment, anything, just put it there. I will get to it eventually. We let it load up. We let it build up for most of the show, and then we go and address it later. So, updates in college football when it comes to injuries. Tyler Van Dyke is out for the season. Shout out to Wisconsin. They'll be starting Braden Locke for the rest of the season. They're going to have a long season at this point because of this. I talked about it a little bit yesterday. We'll go more in depth today. Colston Loveland, uncertain for week 4. This is the starting star tight end for Michigan. Talk about it a bit some more, but he is the only offensive weapon that even scares scares you at Michigan, and he's not available or uncertain for week 4. Let me rephrase, uncertain. Cam Rising, good to go for week 4. And that's good news for Utah because Utah looks like Iowa without Cam Rising. When Cam Rising's not available to play, that offense is gross. They can't move the ball. They can't score. When they have Cam Rising, they're a perennial power. They're a conference favorite. They're going to win the conference. They're a playoff favorite, all that stuff when they have Cam Rising. I don't know what it is because he's actually not like NFL caliber to me. He doesn't look that spectacular when I watch the tape, but he takes care of the ball really well. He knows where to put it. He's got a lot of moxie. Oh, by the way, the starting quarterbacks in that game this week for week 4, Cam Rising and what's-his-face at Oklahoma State. Dude's forever old. I was going to say Alan Webb. No, but their combined age is like 49. I want you to think about that for a second. That's older than the NFL matchup that the Colts just had with starting quarterbacks. I'm serious. Nick Anderson will be available versus Tennessee. Hope he's ready to play. They're going to need him. Quentin Cooley considered day-to-day. That's bad news for Liberty, and that explains the spread that they have in their game this week. Darius Copeland out for the season. Jalen Knighton, Rooster, running back, out versus TCU. Doesn't really matter. They've got a plethora of running backs for SMU. Then we've got Trexler Ivy will start for Indiana. That kind of raised some eyebrows for me. Number one, Deshaun Purdy had just gotten the start against who was it in their last game? I'm drawing a blank right now. Oh, it was against Gardner Webb. So he just got the start against Gardner Webb. He was a freshman, his first start, everything. It didn't go well. Trexler Ivy was their starting quarterback last year at points. He's the throwing quarterback or the passing quarterback. But with all the injuries that they have with Brown and Purdy, now they're down to one quarterback against Indiana. I don't even know if Trexler Ivy's going to be able to play the whole game. There's potential that they might get down to their fourth string quarterback against Indiana. That's bad news. I'm telling you right now, that's bad news. CJ Bailey will start against Clemson. Apparently, Grayson McCall is out. That means Bailey's in. Bailey is a dual threat guy. Kind of, like I said, he's a skinnier dude. I talked about it on yesterday's show. I just don't think CJ Bailey's the guy you want going in there against Clemson. No. Ethan Crawford, not at practice. And that means Tate Rodemaker is going to be starting. He's going to be quarterback 1 for Southern Miss. Bishal Tutton, questionable Saturday versus Rutgers. This is a big deal because right now Virginia Tech is favored against Rutgers right now. -3 favorite. MVPs? It's not on the chart, but it will be on Saturday. Please get there soon. MVPs. Ali Jennings, questionable for Rutgers. This is probably their best talented wide receiver, although they throw it to Jalen Lane more. Ali Jennings probably more talented. So you're down 2 of your weapons against a Rutgers defense that's pretty stout. Ugh. I don't know how I feel about it. Cam Fancher, set to play in week 4. Dual threat, going to make it happen. Max Brown, out against Indiana as well. So we're talking about no quarterbacks at Charlotte except for Trexler and Ivy. Trexler Ivy? Yeah. Dude throws the ball. Like, he can throw it okay. He's not good. We watched them all last year. If you don't hear the excitement in my voice, it's because I'm a little malnutritioned, bro. I'm weak. I'm losing weight. I'm dieting properly, I'm working out like crazy. Lenora Sellers will be ready versus Akron. Good news for South Carolina. They need Lenora Sellers. Greg DeRosis, this is the UMass transfer. He is the backup running back. There's a lot of running back issues at Memphis. Obviously, they have Mario Anderson Jr., and he's good. But once Ducker hit the portal, Sutton Smith. Kid from fucking, what is wrong with me, bro? I need to get focused today. I want to say it's Sutton Smith. The other running back, he's out. So he's out for the season, I believe. So Memphis has no other running backs. Like, they need to figure it out. That's scary. That's scary. Dallin Hayden, questionable versus Baylor for Colorado. Kyron Grays, the Ohio State transfer, he's out versus Florida State. LaShawn Williams, that's crazy. He's out versus Minnesota. This is a stud running back for Iowa. Their only semblance of offense. We'll see what's up. Jaden Ott, now probable versus Florida State. Looks like Jaden Ott's going to be a go. That's pretty good news. He is an amazing running back. He's a 1,000-yard rusher. He's one of the top 10 running backs in America, talent-wise. I don't care about production. I'm talking about talent. Jaden Ott's really good. It's nice to have him back. Eli Stower still working towards being available versus Missouri. This is the tight end for Vanderbilt. Former quarterback at Texas A&M, transferred. He can do a lot of things. I think he's sneaky athletic, and it's crazy that they're going to try to go without him. They need him. They need all weapons. Moltron, probable for Minnesota. Looks like that's going to be your running back, Kamari Moltron, with some other guys. Tyler Brown, questionable for NC State, and Fernando Mendoza, now quarterback 1 at Cal. So Cal brought in a transfer from Texas State, or North Texas, I'm sorry. They brought in a number of players that they thought were going to compete for the quarterback job, and I questioned it all offseason. And I said, what are you doing? You have Fernando Mendoza. This is a good, young, talented player, and he's probably going to start. And here he is. He's now officially the starter. It only took a couple of weeks for me to be a prophet. It only took a couple of weeks into the college football season. What are we in, week 4? And I'm finally right about the Cal quarterback position. I knew it the whole time. There's no way he was going to get beat out by anybody else. So drop the oar, let that man play, give him the rock, trust him, and they play Florida State this week. I think they're going to beat Florida State. Florida State's going to be 0-4. Don't believe me? Keep fading me. All right, let's talk about the results, and then we'll talk about what the pending games for the Big Ten, and then I'll jump to the chat. Feel free to add anything you want. Okay, feel free to add anything you want, question-wise or whatever. So Michigan doesn't cover the spread against Arkansas State. One thing I noticed when I went back and rewatched this game today is shout out to Timmy McClain. While I'm going to talk about that on the Sun Belt side, shout out to Timmy McClain. This is a former South Florida quarterback, transferred to UCF, sat the bench. Now he transfers over here. He's not going to start over Jalen Raynor. They love Jalen Raynor. But, man, Timmy McClain was a bad boy. Back before Florida redid their high school classifications, and now they have metro, suburban, and rural area rank and all this crap. Before all that, they had like 7A, 8A. Yeah, bro, Timmy McClain won the state title in the largest division, went undefeated, everything. Timmy McClain is like a Florida high school legend. Really, really like the kid. Think he's a good player. And he came in and he played well against Michigan. But this whole thing is about the Big Ten, so I'll focus on the Big Ten. What do I see from the Big Ten? Davis Warren is bad. Davis Warren's not a good football player. And I think they finally realized that he only had 3 incompletions. All 3 were interceptions. So when you only have 3 incompletions, you might think, hey, he's accurate. He's this, that. No, man. The scheme, they're not throwing it down the field at all. They're not throwing it to wide receivers. They only throwing it to 2 tight ends, and they're hoping for the best. It's gross. Donovan Edwards not getting it done the way people anticipated. Obviously, he's now backup running back. Mullins is going to be the starter. Mullins is the guy. Mullins is starting over Donovan Edwards, and Donovan Edwards has been waiting in the wings to be the starter for years. And now he ain't shit. Get him off the cover of that video game. That's the curse of the video game cover. Alex Orji has now been named the starting quarterback. That is not a quarterback. I don't know what he is. He's a hell of an athlete. That doesn't mean anything to me. That's not a good quarterback. And I think it's terrible. I think Michigan really, really fumbled the ball this offseason when they didn't reach out for a quarterback in the transfer portal. There's just no way you should have done that. You should have been grabbing anybody. I told him, get Sullivan. I vividly remember this in one of my episodes when I'm talking about the transfer portal. I said, man, they need to get Brendan Sullivan. That's the Northwestern transfer who's currently the backup at Iowa. I think he's better than anybody at Michigan right now. True story. Marlon Klein, that's the German kid, the German tight end they started throwing it to. Frederick Moore is a good receiver if they can get him the ball. Loveland, we know the deal. Everybody else, insignificant, not doing anything, and Loveland's not here to play. Defensively, really good players. Really stout players, but at some point you're going to get tired. Some point you're going to fall apart. You're not going to cover the spread. You're not going to get it done. And these guys don't carry the ball every play. Like, they don't touch the ball every play. They're just good defenders. And rightfully so. I think good defenders matter, but not enough to win games. Shout out to Ernest Hausman, the Nebraska transfer from 2 years ago. The Maryland transfer, Barham, playing well. You see the guys here. I mean, it's a who's who defense of good players, but all in all, piss poor performance. And I think when you're firing your quarterback after a win and you're benching your quarterback after a win, it's not a good look. Nah, not when you're about to play USC. You're hoping you put in a more athletic quarterback to get away from that USC defense that's been playing out of its mind. I don't know, man. Not the best look. Speaking of not the best look, Wisconsin against Alabama, you lose Tyler Van Dyke for the rest of the season. Now you're stuck with Braden Locke. Don't like it. Running backs, I told you, they're all a bunch of backup running backs, and I like the freshmen with more potential. Darian Dupree finally getting reps in that room. I want you to think about this for a second. We're talking about true freshmen getting reps at running back among 4 upperclassmen. And he's already passed one of them, right? So now you only got 3 left. Cade, Ches, Tawee. Those 3, and he's getting up here. And Dupree and Dylan Jones, like they got players, man. They got running backs. But that youth doesn't really matter. You still got to learn a lot of different things. It's going to be a long season for Wisconsin. But it's just nice that before the season started, I said, I know they're 4 deep in the running back room. I know all you guys are convinced everybody's a pro and they're so great and all this stuff. Trust me, these true freshmen are going to get reps. They're too good not to get reps. And sure enough, here we are, week 4, and they've both been getting playing time. So shout out to Wisconsin for getting the true freshman in the starting lineup. Will Pauling, no one's going to stop Will Pauling. Obviously, his quarterback play is going to stop him. But individually, Will Pauling can play against anybody. That's an NFL wide receiver. That's on my NFL draft board. Will Pauling is going to always get his numbers. 9 receptions, 83 yards, and a touchdown. Don't care who he's playing against. Don't care what's going on. That is an alpha male in the room. That is a pro when you watch him. Shout out to Will Pauling. Really, really good. Can't hold on to the ball. Braden Locke, you come up off the bench. You fumble twice. Just not really built for this. The running backs are fumbling everywhere. I don't like it. Leon Lowry is a Syracuse transfer. Plays really well, got a lot of length at the edge. It causes problems, so we'll see what happens. Tackett Curtis got to play the first half of this game, at least start it, because of targeting call. He played pretty well. Jaheim Thomas needs to step it up. Ricardo Hallman. All these guys got beat horribly, and this is what's going to happen. Like Nazir Forqueen here, he's a good player, and watching him on tape, you're like, yeah, man, I'm cheering for this guy, and Hunter Wohler and all these guys, right? You're cheering for these guys, but they can't cover 5-star wide receivers running past them. There's just no way. They had no chance. You're getting a guy. Let me just give it to you guys straight. Nazir here, quality football player. But he comes from the GLIAC. He comes from Division II. And he transferred from Division II to the Big Ten. And he followed his coach and he did all the right things and he's over here now. And they're like, yeah, we got it. We got a guy. And I'm going, yeah, he's good and it's a feel-good story. But you can't show up with feel-good stories against 5 stars. You can't. And that's exactly what happened here. Shout out to Jake Chaney for getting to play the second half. John Pius needs to be a better pass rusher and be more relevant. But at the end of the day, Wisconsin is not hitting on all cylinders. It's going to be a long season. Reality of the situation. Oregon finally showed up. And played to their potential. But in the preseason, I told you Oregon State's terrible. I have Oregon State ranked really bad. And it looks like they're starting to gravitate towards Anthony Hackerson being their starting running back, which is fine. Just know that he's okay. He's not great. He's okay. And they have no semblance of passing whatsoever. Giovanni McCoy, I love him. Idaho transfer quarterback. I love him. Can't throw it down the field at all. And they couldn't really do anything. On the flip side, Oregon's secondary is the weakest thing they have, and you couldn't take advantage of it. And they're just handing the ball off to whoever they need to get it to. It's fine. I'm not impressed with them, because they're just not consistent right now. I get it. They got them ranked 9th. They're undefeated. They have all these talented players. You can go down the list, and it's a who's who list of all these great players. I'm just telling you, I'm excited for like their potential. But what I've seen so far doesn't get me too excited. One thing I'll say is Jaden Lamar here, I made a video about him a year ago questioning why he didn't transfer. So shout out to him. I'm glad he finally got in the rotation, made the most of it, got a 65-yard touchdown. He's returning kicks, but he's a running back, and I want to see him in the running back room, and they just keep bringing in guys over him like Jay Harris, and they're letting Noah Whittington get it. Like, I want Jaden Lamar to be used. He's a good player. Should have transferred. I really believe in him. On the flip side, stop trying to convince me that Evan Stewart's one of the best wide receivers in the country. Just stop. Recruiting websites, all your bullshit, just stop, man. Evan Stewart has never been like that. There was no reason to rank him that high. He disappears in games. But so does Tez Johnson. He had -1 yards last week, and now he has 110. Oregon is just something else. Bryce, go out there, keep doing your thing, building on last year, having a breakout season. I'm impressed with Bryce. He's out there tackling everybody. And this Tui kid right here, Tui T, this dude right here, that's an NFL player. I think he's so special on tape. He's only a sophomore. Good player. Not impressed with the secondary. Shout out to Jabbar Muhammad, Kobe Savage, Nico Reed, all these transfers. I don't care about none of them, bro. I'm watching the tape. That secondary is not getting it done. Not where I come from. I'm just letting you know. They don't move me like that. Shout out to them. Purdue, speaking of not moving me like that, Purdue looking terrible against Notre Dame, and terrible's an understatement. I don't know if they had 2 weeks to prepare for this game. They had a bye week, and I don't know if they understood the assignment, bro. Emulate and duplicate what NIU did. No chance. No chance. It's insane. Reggie Love looks like he's taking over the running back position. Devin Maccabee couldn't do anything. That's fine. Hudson Card couldn't find anyone or anything. Cam Brown has one big play. If you don't remember Cam Brown, he's a transfer from UCLA and A&M maybe. He's been everywhere. That's fine. It's just, I don't like it, man. Jamal Edrin, the FAU transfer, nothing. Denylon Morissette, I watched him play at 3 different high schools. Georgia transfer doesn't move me at all. I'm glad he's not drinking and driving anymore. The team just doesn't look good on tape. At least not in this game. They didn't look good. They looked overmatched. They were embarrassing. No semblance of offense whatsoever. Jeff Ramba used to be the top defensive tackle in the transfer portal out of JUCOs 2 years ago. He's an Auburn transfer. Glad to see him actually playing. CJ Madden. These guys they're like hand-me-downs and recruiting misses from major universities. If Kendrick Breedlove's on the field for you, you don't have a good team. You don't. Dylan Thieneman is the best player on this team. I've told you that for 2 years now. After last year, I knew he was going to be the best player on this team, and he is, again, a true sophomore. Greatness. Greatness and greatness again. Turn on the tape. Dylan Thieneman, NFL all day. Nebraska, I was not impressed with this game. I went back and watched it. I understand they won 34-3. I understand some people think it's dominant. It's not. Dylan Raiola had an interception in this game. They had no identity in this game. At least that's how I feel about it. And they still won 34-3. UNI is not very good. I mean, UNI is a good team. They're just not. They're not going to be competitive with the Power 4. So I hope they keep figuring it out. Nebraska does. They need to impress me more, but they won the game. More power to them. Illinois, stop giving up silly points early, field goals, and things like that. I could talk about this game because I'm going to talk about the MAC later. I'm just going to tell you Joe Labus is the worst starting quarterback out there. He's got the longest leash in the world. Threw another interception. This guy's been throwing, I think he's thrown 8 interceptions this season. It's really early to have 8 interceptions. He's on his way to 20 if they let him keep starting. On the flip side, so I keep saying on the flip side, I want to get rid of that phrase. Please, I need to break it. Let's go. Khalil Valentine, freshman, getting some carries, getting some playing time. I love it. More effective than Fagan in this game. Shout out to Valentine. They even threw him the ball. But I remember what I told you guys. I told you guys a couple of weeks ago, the wide receiver in this room that most impressed me is Pat Bryant. I think he can't be stopped by anybody. That's another NFL caliber wide receiver. Illinois has Pat Bryant, and when you turn on the tape and you watch it, I understand Zachary Franklin, UTSA transfer, Ole Miss transfer, the career production leader in the country right now. Zachary Franklin's caught 100 passes in a year, whatever he's done. Pat Bryant, man, 6'3", 200-something pounds. Just so good. Just so good. I keep telling you over and over and over, he's good for touchdowns. He scores 2 touchdowns in this game just like he did in the season opener. Pat Bryant, Pat Bryant, Pat Bryant. What a monster. Defensively, I expect more from their secondary. They should have been shutting everything down and causing turnovers, more than 1 interception. But they did well. They did well. This is a good team. They covered the spread. I like Illinois. They're coached well. They're playing well. Luke Altmaier is a high-level quarterback. Let's see what happens. See what happens. Michigan State, not impressed with this win. I know they got it, and it's 40-0. Prairie View sucks. And I want to see Tommy Schuster play more. Tommy Schuster, FCS transfer, a very experienced quarterback. He plays good. He plays right. When I see him on tape, he's just a little gaudy dude, man. He can actually run a little bit. He's just tough. Speaking of running, they got a running back issue or dilemma at Michigan State, and they don't want to address it, and they don't want to talk about it. But the reality is Kyron Lynch-Adams should probably be the starter. I understand Nate Carter has a ton of yards here, and it's 60 yards, and then it's 7 carries for 31 yards after that. Kyron Lynch-Adams just got more pop to him, man. And I think they're going to start giving him the ball more. Just trust Kyron Lynch-Adams when he runs the plays, when he does things look bigger, stronger, not faster, but bigger and stronger. It's a good one. It's a good problem to have. A good 1-2 punch for sure. So we'll keep seeing how they build. Freshman Nick Marsh comes back to life, comes back to earth. He doesn't have another 200-yard game or anything like that. But Isaiah Johnson does. Isaiah Johnson has 2 catches, 50 yards, and a touchdown, and that's a freshman as well. So they're really young. They're really young in certain position groups, and they're getting the most out of their players. The biggest issue Michigan State's going to have moving forward is they just had a season-ending injury to their right guard, and that's the second season-ending injury to a right guard. So I don't know who's starting at right guard this week, and I don't know if they have to maneuver the offensive line around to make that work. But it's gonna be a tough one. And the reason I say that is when I was looking at the odds and the line for this week coming up, I'm going to talk about this week's matchups. I was like, man, I think Michigan State can win this game. And then as I keep looking, I'm like, man, if that right guard is a third stringer at this point, this early in the season, it's going to be tough, man. It's going to be tough. Minnesota playing out of their minds, shutting down Nevada's rushing attack, making Brendan Lewis look like he doesn't belong out here. And that was very impressive for me. When I watched the tape back, Brendan Lewis is going nowhere. And they're trying. 10 carries, -1 yards, getting sacked everywhere, 3 interceptions. They made him very uncomfortable. Now, the worst part about it, Max Brosmer still does not look like a good quarterback. Still not hitting on all cylinders. Not ready for this echelon of football. Obviously, Darius Taylor is. I'm glad they're still keeping Elijah Spencer in the rotation and getting him touches because he is a weapon. Him and Daniel Jackson should be the 2 best receivers by and large, and they should be dominating games with their receivers, but they just don't have the quarterback to get them the ball all the time. Defensively, Ethan Robinson, I talked about him in my Hidden Gems video for Minnesota. This is a corner that transferred in. I think he's a stud. I think he's a complete stud, and he showed out, led the team in tackles, 2 passes deflected, doing his thing. Who's the white safety? He still played well again. Where is he at? Am I tripping right now? No, I'm not. Jack Henderson. He played well on tape as well. He had a couple of plays that really stuck out to me. Lindenberg being out here playing well. They got a team, man. Minnesota's going to shut some people down. They are. Don't sleep on Minnesota. Don't. They just have to figure out that quarterback play. Washington State. They go out there and beat Washington, and I'm supposed to be talking about Washington in this. Washington got a bunch of empty stats that don't matter to me. Washington State just being tough as nails. That's all there is to it. Being tough as nails, getting it done, holding Washington to 4 field goals. Washington's out here settling for field goals, 2 in the second quarter, 2 in the third quarter, not getting touchdowns. That's what lost them this game. Getting into the red zone and getting shut down, or getting into scoring position and not finishing the drives. That's unfortunate, but that's what happened. That's a reality. They need to get Jeremiah Hunter involved in the game more. This is the former leading receiver from Cal who transferred in. He can really play football, and for whatever reason, he's not in this system. He's not figuring it out, and he's not better than the others ahead of him. Defensively, nothing. They couldn't get Washington State off the field. Washington State was not much better than them, or even better than them for the most part. Like, I'm going to talk about Washington State on Friday, but I'm just going to tell you, Josh Meredith had this breakout game that he's never had before in his life. Congratulations. But they were shutting down Mateer. Mateer's running 16 carries, 62 yards. They don't care. They just keep running him. But he's only getting 3.9 yards a carry. They just kept running to him. And then the all-world freshman right here, this Wayshawn Parker, he's a beast. They kept him in check. I thought they did all the right things. The problems they had were on offense. They just sputtered in the red zone, sputtered near scoring positions, and then didn't have the balls to call it and go for it. Make sure you win the game. Troy showed out, man. Troy had the lead at halftime, and that's crazy because Troy hasn't won a game this year and looked very terrible. But Troy had the lead at halftime. No ability to run the ball whatsoever. 21 carries, 24 yards. No ability to run, but they could throw it to Devontae Ross. That's for damn sure. On the other side, Iowa, dinking and dunking their way to victory. I don't know what's going on. Cade McNamara can't throw it more than 20 yards, or at least they're not even trying to. It's gross. 23 attempts for 176 yards is not good. And there's that Brendan Sullivan kid. I think he's really good, by the way. But Caleb Johnson's out this week. Or no, LaShawn Williams is out. My bad. Caleb's still there. They'll be fine. So Caleb's here. Patterson's here. They got 3 running backs. They'll be fine. Iowa can't ever impress me offensively. And I told you guys this. You get a new offensive coordinator, so what? You don't have new players. You don't have you need 3 years before it becomes real. Defensively, beast getting after it, but it was Troy. And Troy should have been blown out. They didn't cover this spread. Troy should have been blown out early. Like this. This type of blowout. UCLA looks bad. Kevin Rourke goes for 307. Curtis Rourke. Oh, my God. Curtis Rourke goes for 307 yards and 4 touchdowns. It's been a while since I've seen Rourke play a game this good. And a lot of it has to do with how bad UCLA is. UCLA has one good player, apparently. I'm watching the game. They're handing it off to T.J. Harden. They go to drop back to pass. They're throwing it to T.J. Harden. Only Harden. Harden's the only weapon they use this entire game. And Ethan Garbers looks like garbage. Hot garbage. It's not going to be competitive for UCLA in a lot of these Big Ten games. Indiana looks as good as I told you they would be. I told you all offseason Indiana's going to be great, and they made me a profit. They look great. Defensively, Aiden Fisher, Jalen Walker. You know who they are? They're JMU transfers. They're studs. D'Angelo Pons, studs. Like Sean Asbury, that's an ODU transfer, stud. James Carpenter, stud. All these guys, all the transfers dominating and looking the part. And UCLA, I don't know if Deshaun Foster knows how to coach. Be a head coach. I know he knows how to be a running backs coach. He's probably pretty decent offensive coordinator. I don't know. But head coach, he's recruiting well. They are not showing up to play at all. They are not showing up to play well. I can tell you that. They didn't look prepared for this game. They didn't look ready to go. Nobody's getting the passes. TJ Harden, Maloki Matavo, it's the Oregon tight end transfer. Rico Flores, dude, if your name is Rico, you should be talking about sports, not trying to play them. I'm just saying, they're missing all kinds of shit. They don't look good. Shout out to Indiana. They look like world beaters. Northwestern, hey, they say, you know what? We're going to start this dude Jack Lausch at quarterback. Not Mike Wright. Let's go with Jack Lausch. And Lausch proved he can run too. You're playing Eastern Illinois. You win the game. Congratulations. I didn't like a couple of things. Number one, Bryce Kurtz needs to be involved. This is one of your better wide receivers. You're not getting the ball when it really matters. Maybe A.J. Henney's just taking over this room, the former Michigan kid, and he's starting to look dominant. But you gotta get Bryce involved in the game plan. And then defensively, I personally don't like the fact that I can watch them play an FCS team, and I don't see them getting them off the field. Like, I don't see them just dominating. I need to see domination. 5 punts in a game. I'm serious, guys, and I'm not trying to be rude or nothing. When I watch FBS, Power 4 teams play the FCS, it's like 10 punts in a game. I'm not even exaggerating. It's like 10 punts in a game. When I watch this game, I'm like, man, they're getting first downs. And they're not scoring, but they're getting first downs. What are we doing here? It's crazy. Northwestern, not a good team. I think they're a bad team. 2-1, I think they're a bad team. Maryland found a way to win. The biggest shocking thing in this game was Nolan Ray, this freshman running back, is slowly taking over this running back room away from Roman Hemby. And Roman Hemby's been the starting running back for a while now. Hemby has not really hit on all strides at any point. He's not hitting on all cylinders at all. And now it's just this Nolan Ray kid shows up, and he starts getting playing time. And he starts getting carries, and he starts getting production. I like it. How can Virginia not stop Ty Felton? Ty Felton's the only receiver this team has had that I really believe in, and he keeps going for over 100 yards every game. Billy Edwards can find him any day, all day, and that's how Maryland's winning these games. It's good stuff. I'm impressed with Maryland. Keep playing. I did not expect them to win this game, and they came back and won it. They were trailing at halftime. So, came out in the second half and went 10-10 in third and fourth quarter. Beast. All right, before I get to the chat, Here are the matchups for the Big Ten. First and foremost, Illinois and Nebraska is a Friday night game at 8 p.m. Eastern. That is an MVP level lock, so I won't be talking about it in this stream at all. If you want to know who I think is going to win, what props to bet, what parlays, what anything, please become an MVP. You'll know. Ohio State and Marshall, that's another MVP level lock. Won't talk about it on the show. Indiana, Charlotte, MVP level lock. Maryland, Virginia. Obviously, Maryland's going to win this game. Villanova, I said Virginia. Maryland, Villanova. Villanova's undefeated. Maryland's going to win the game. Let's see what the spread is. I would be interested to see if Villanova's going to cover that spread. I'd be interested. Kent State, Penn State. It's 49 points. That's huge. But we just saw Kent State lose by 70 by halftime. Does Penn State want to go out there and show out and show the world that they can win by 49 points against Kent State? I think it's a bet worth making. I think you got to keep fading Kent State till you miss, right? So Penn State should probably win that game by 49 points. It's not on the board, but they should. They should. It's just crazy. USC, Michigan, MVP level lock, become an MVP. I'll talk to you all about it. LSU, UCLA, it's not on the board, but it probably will be by the end of the week. I think LSU can beat UCLA by 24 points. I really do. I think UCLA is hapless. UCLA's defense is gross, can't stop anything, and LSU has some pretty good offensive power. Defensively, they're bad, but UCLA's not any good on offense. I think LSU is going to win this game 35-0. Something like that. I'm not even joking. Rutgers, Virginia Tech, not on the board, but should be, and I'm on the Rutgers side. I think Rutgers actually wins this game money line. I think Rutgers is going to beat Virginia Tech. Virginia Tech is down Bishal Tutton, down Jalen Lane or Allie Jennings. I don't know. I just feel like Virginia Tech's very underwhelming right now. And before, in the preseason, I picked Virginia Tech to win this game. But after what I've seen, I like Rutgers money line. I think it's a pretty decent bet. I do. Northwestern, Washington. Washington should just throttle these dudes. Northwestern sucks. Yeah. Washington should cover that spread. I don't like Northwestern at all. Iowa, Minnesota. I really like Minnesota in this matchup. I'm so unimpressed with Iowa. I really like Minnesota in this matchup. Can you trust Max Brosmer, though? I like Minnesota in the matchup, bro. Especially if they're underdogs. I like that. It might be money line. It might be on the chart. Michigan State, Boston College, MVP level lock. Won't talk about it. Purdue, Oregon State. I like Purdue. I know they just got blown out by Notre Dame. I don't care. I like Purdue. Yeah. I like Purdue in that matchup. They're underdogs. I also like the over, just so we're clear. I like the over in Purdue. All right. Before I get into the MAC, we'll go to the chat. This should be a short show. That'll be good. I'm sorry. I know most guys think the show starts at 5, and it does. But I needed to go early today because of a couple of reasons. So I'm here. Let's go to the chat. Shout out to David Warneck for becoming an MVP. Thank you so much for becoming a YouTube MVP. Well, those are pretty rare. We'll take them every single time. I appreciate you, man. Thank you so much. Tuber Guy 900 says, is the way that Trexler Ivy played last week in the fourth quarter any concern for Indiana spread? I believe that's an MVP level lock, so I really won't talk about it. But I appreciate you for watching Trexler Ivy play. If you watched Trexler Ivy play last year versus last week, nothing's changed. He's the same quarterback that we've always seen. The Wiz says, hey, Rico, MVP here. What's up, man? This is probably a long-term project and wouldn't happen until the offseason, but I would love to see a coaching staff chart ranking similar to the talent chart. Wow, The Wiz. What a great idea. What a great idea. Good for you, man. I want you to make it. No, I'm joking. I think that's a pretty awesome idea. If you guys don't know, I evaluated every single team based on position group and did an evaluation of the talent on every single team. So I looked at, let's just say, offensive line. I looked at the offensive line of 134 different teams, and then I ranked them and rated them. I did that for defensive ends, defensive tackles, linebackers, corners, safeties, running backs, wide receivers, quarterbacks, tight ends, wide receivers. I did that for everybody. And then I concatenated, I combined it all, and every team got a different rating based upon their position groups. And then those ratings are kind of how they guide me into what I think about teams for the matchups this season. And those ratings that I did are insanely accurate for the outcome of games, like over 70%. Not even joking, over 70%. It's crazy. The MVPs, that's why he's mentioning it, because I show them on the chart. And they're like, yo, Rico, this is crazy. Your charts, like my assessment of the talent is so accurate. The only thing I didn't apply in there was coaching staff, is what I always say. So what if I had evaluated the coaching staff and then made that a multiplier for the talent? Whew. That's a crazy premise. That's a metric that people ain't ready for. I like it, man. I like it. I know you did the head coach rankings earlier this season. I did. But each staff broken down by position coaches would be awesome. Yeah, the Wiz, it would, man. It's such a good idea. I don't know if I have enough time to do it. It's a daunting task. But it would be so cool. And you learn the teams really, really well when you learn their coaching. I know a lot of position coaches, obviously. I know the coaching staffs. But to sit down and actually evaluate them all and rank them against each other, ooh, man, what a good premise. I don't know, man. I probably need to hire some people to do that for me. I probably need to hire some people in the offseason. I do have employees. Dave in Arizona says, hey, Rico, shout out to the On the Flip Side guy. Thank you so much. My bad, bro. I appreciate you, Dave. Copious highlights. I think Penn State offense ain't nearly as good as Tennessee's. I think that's very subjective. Please understand that's subjective. Tennessee scored a bunch of points against Kent State. Kent State's not very good, so Tennessee looked good. But Penn State running backs are far better. Tennessee's offensive line is better than Penn State's. And quarterback play, you tell me who's better. Nico has not impressed me, and obviously you know I'm not a Drew Aller guy. I think it's subjective, man. I think it doesn't matter. What we can tell you is Kent State defense can't stop either one of them offenses. Neither one. Bruh, the mod deleted my comment asking for you to make a top 5 Big Ten quarterbacks. Well, mods do their jobs, man. I don't know what to tell you. Mods do their jobs. You want top 5 quarterbacks in the Big Ten right now? Let's go pull up the stats first. Give me a second. I'll pull up the chart here in a bit once I transition back over to the screen I'm on. Tua is on IR, by the way. Shout out to you guys, all you NFL fans. Tua just went on IR. He's done for a while. Let's go to conferences. Big Ten, you said? Big Ten quarterbacks? Complete leaders. Okay, so number 1 for me in the Big Ten right now, from what I've seen, is Miller Moss. Miller Moss is number 1. Number 2, I can pull up the chart here, but I like Miller Moss a lot when I watch the tape. So Miller Moss. Number 2 would be Dylan Gabriel. Number 3 is Curtis Rourke. 4 is Luke Altmaier. 5 is Will Rogers. Those are my top 5 quarterbacks in the Big Ten right now. Not great quarterback play in the Big Ten, by the way. And I want to tell you, I love Hudson Card. But he played like shit against Notre Dame. And Hudson Card could easily move back into that top 5. But those are my 5 right now. So Miller Moss. Yeah, maybe. Yeah, Miller Moss. Dylan Gabriel. Luke Altmaier. Curtis Rourke, Will Rogers. Yep. That's where I'm at. Thank you for the question. Mods, don't delete those types of questions. That's okay. It doesn't bother me. BYU's advantage at home with elevation in Utah. Still think Kansas State wins. Vaughn Picks. You are asking MVP level questions, and you are in a live stream with YouTube. This is a free live stream. We don't do that here. And that's also has nothing to do with the Big Ten or the MAC. Don't do that shit again or you'll be blocked. Welcome to the channel. Will Ohio State win the Big Ten this year? Doesn't seem like anyone else will top them. Well, theoretically, they're going to win the Big Ten. I picked them in the preseason to win the Big Ten, but they still have to go out there and do it, right? There's some competitive teams. I think USC is looking really, really good this year. And once their defense was improved, they still have NFL players on offense, but Ohio State's probably the big favorite right now. What up, Rico? Been a fan and been following you for a while. Just wanted to say thank you for your analysis and tips every week. Always a huge help. Shout out to you, Vince. Thank you for supporting the channel. Thank you for following me. And if you've been a fan for a while, I've been rocking with you for a while, man. I appreciate you. You know, you guys all made my life possible. This is the greatest feeling in the world, to wake up every morning, live the life I always wanted to live, and impart sports knowledge on people. It's really, really special. So thank you guys for always supporting and rocking with me. I appreciate your comment more than anything. Okay, I'm going to get back to the Mac now. And if you guys have any more questions, comments, or concerns, put it in the chat. If you're watching on TikTok, move over to YouTube. Put it in the chat. Interact. We don't mind. I don't really need interaction, to be honest, but we'll get after it. All right, Kent State against Tennessee. Watch the tape. They look worse than the score. Score 71-0, and it was bad. Tennessee only scored a field goal in the third and the fourth quarter, being nice. Kent State is 100 points away from Tennessee. Real. Looked terrible. Fire Kenny Burns. Ball State, just as bad, but, you know, they were competitive a little bit here and there. Obviously put up a bit bigger fight than Kent State. But Miami, Cam Ward went out there, played flawless, and Ball State does not impress me at any point. Shout out to Khalil Kelly. Hopefully you get to play quarterback someday. Chippewas, Central Michigan, actually played pretty decent in this game, but as long as Joe Labas is your quarterback, you're going to throw interceptions, not be relevant. Miles Bailey can always run. I believe he's starting to take reps from Marion Lukes, which is surprising, but we'll take it. And other than that, this team, it's 2 weeks in a row, they've kind of not been competitive in their matchups. I bet they're not disappointed with this score, though. I bet you they're not disappointed being down 13-6 at half. I promise you. They weren't going to win this game, though. Miami of Ohio, I was never convinced they were winning this game. So many people talked about it. Cincinnati was only a 3-point favorite. I was laughing. I'm like, Cincinnati's a better team. I put it on the chart, told the MVPs, we're taking Cincinnati money line. This is a joke. Cincinnati's going to beat Miami of Ohio. Miami of Ohio has no offense. Look, guys, Miami of Ohio was a great team last year. They are not that team this year. And I've been very adamant about this. They lost everybody in the transfer portal. They're the Florida State of the MAC. They lost everything in the transfer portal. I don't give a shit if you think Brett Gabbert's first team all-conference quarterback. He's not going to win games for you because you have no running back. Zero running backs. Zero. There's no one to hand it off to. And your only receiver right now is Cade McDonald. I don't care about Reggie Virgil doing his thing. Cade McDonald, the Michigan State transfer, big kid, good player. Going to get you yards. Going to get his Randy ratio. No running backs. And it's disgusting. Defensively, they got the best linebackers in the MAC. Doesn't matter. You're not beating Cincinnati. Cincinnati's good. Everybody thinks Cincinnati's not good. Cincinnati should be undefeated. They lost in a miracle to Pitt. They should be undefeated right now, and I told you Cincinnati was going to be good this year. I believe in Cincinnati's offensive line, their quarterback, running back, wide receiver. I believe in Cincinnati wholeheartedly. These linebackers, as good as they are, Ty Wise, Matt Solopek, like, these are good players, bro. They're not going to beat these guys. Nah, you're not beating Cincinnati. Cincinnati's a beast. You better wake up. Buffalo. Hey, I love watching this tape. So I go back and watch this tape. First off, I already told you guys, I just think UMass has the worst offensive line in America. But Buffalo wins this game 34-3. But if you watch this game and you pay attention, Lamar Sperling had his breakout moment. This is a freshman. Lamar Sperling getting all the carries. He's already on special teams. I like this kid a lot. And I told you guys in the preseason, this team had no running backs. They didn't. They had no running backs. They had to go and get a freshman and let him be the guy. I put my money on Messiah Birch. This is who I watched on tape, and I made him my hidden gem. He's a freshman as well, and he's getting in the lineup. He's getting receptions. He's getting playing time. So I missed it. I picked the wrong guy, but it's still, I knew it had to be a freshman not on the team. I knew it had to be somebody else because the guys on the team aren't any good. Like, the guys they already have in the room weren't good, and I was right. Now, defensively, Sean Doluck has always been him. That's their leading tackler from 2 years ago. He's a complete stud. Going to always dominate games. Marquez Cooper had a pick six. It was 100 yards from one end zone to the other. Great stuff, man, but I don't like Buffalo this year. I don't like them this year, but 2-1. 2-1. I thought they'd be 1-2. 2-1. They beat UMass. I saw that coming. I also saw this coming. Saw Morgan State was going to cover the spread. This is why I didn't add it to the chart. When I talked to you guys on Saturday, MVPs, I added some games to the chart. Do you remember this? There was 3 games in a row that I added to the chart, and this wasn't one of them. And the other 2 games were Prairie View and Michigan State, which was a miss. It was 40.5, and it ended up only being 40. So we got beat by the hook. And then it was Georgia Tech VMI, and we definitely hit on that. This one, I said, hey, guys, I don't feel comfortable with Ohio covering this spread against Morgan State. They look like a decent team. And Ohio's not a good team. Ohio's offense is not good. Parker Navarro's not a good quarterback. It's a UCF transfer, I believe. 3 interceptions, not a good quarterback. Against an FCS team, nah, man. Excuse me, my nose is bugging me. It's itching. Yes, Anthony Tyrus, the Northwestern transfer, still running good. Good offensive line, still running good. But you have no semblance. You have nobody that can get these guys the ball. I understand they have some yards. He only had 3 incompletions. But go back and watch the tape. This team is not hitting on all cylinders. I find them to be one of the most lackluster teams out there. Great coach team. Shout out to Albin and everything he's doing. But lackluster, man. This Ohio team is underwhelming. Speaking of underwhelming, Akron, bro. Akron. Down 17-7 after the first. I think they were down 17-0. I was watching this shit, and I'm like, man, this is bad. Still no running game, but Ben Finley started slicing and dicing. And Ben Finley, the Cal transfer, former North Carolina State quarterback, Ryan Finley's little brother, Ben Finley started slicing and dicing. 358 yards and 4 touchdowns later, they annihilated people. Andre Norton has a breakout game. I've never seen him play this good in his life. Okay, Bobby Golden, little 5'8" dude, little bundle of muscle. He goes out there and does his thing. These 2 guys had breakout games. Congratulations. But Akron can't be falling behind like this. And they're supposed to have some all-conference defensive players. I didn't see it. I didn't see them play that way. Like, I like Fish. I like Nunley. These are good players that I'm highlighting here. Bennett Adler. These are all good players. And they're not getting it done. I'm glad they found a way to win, because that would have been bad. Speaking of bad, Western Michigan did not cover the spread against Bethune-Cookman. There's no excuse for this. No excuse. There's no way you give up 31 points to Bethune-Cookman. No way. You watch Bethune-Cookman on tape, it's just a bunch of little kids, man. They look like undersized high school kids. You know when you see like a juggernaut in the high school games? You see like some perennial power versus this small, undersized team? That was Bethune-Cookman. Their secondary is gross. They're the weakest little dudes alive. They got no speed anywhere. If you can play football, you can probably make it on Bethune-Cookman's team. I'm sure. And then Jaden Nixon, the Oklahoma State transfer, goes out there and rips off some crazy runs. 17 carries, 89 yards. Averaging 11 yards a carry in college. But they still gave up too many yards. They still not getting it done. Sambucci, I think he scored on the first play of the game. Good player. Bosma, good player. They got good players. Bugs Mortimer, transfer from ULM. I think he's transferred from ULM or Louisiana. ULM or ULM. Good players. Western Michigan got an offense. Trust. And they didn't have Buckley here. This is a good team. And they're giving up points like crazy. Tate Halleck played good. I like him. Obviously, I like all these guys. I've talked about him before. But Tate Halleck, Michigan State transfer, he just looks the part. He's got the right size. No diddy. But, yeah, man, he can't be giving up this many points. Not to Bethune-Cookman. That's a little scary. Can't trust them to cover the spread. We took EMU to cover this thing. We took EMU money line, but it's a little scary because they finally found a quarterback at Jackson State in Tyler Huff. So that's scary. The other thing that's scary is EMU is not living up to their identity, which is usually a good running game. Good running back, good running game for years now. They've had good running backs and good running game. Now they get Cole Snyder in the transfer portal. He's a Buffalo transfer. They're letting him sling that damn rock everywhere, and they're getting yards. But the running game is gross. Every handoff they do. First off, Dilbert Mims is not a good running back. That's number one. Okay, Dilbert Mims, they need to stop giving him the ball so damn much. But Elijah Jackson Anderson should be getting more yards than this. Every handoff they do, I was like, ugh, it's hard to watch. I'm like, ugh, just trying to fast forward it. I can't sit here and watch this shit. It's bad. Okay, one thing I will say, I'm pretty excited about this, is down here, Deion Brown got 3 kickoff returns. Now, he didn't take them anywhere. But Deion Brown is a young man that I identified 2 years ago and said, this guy's going to be somebody. I like the way he plays. He's fast. It was a high school film review. He's probably one of the very first entries on the Next Up playlist. One of the very first. If you go to TikTok and you go to Next Up playlist and you scroll all the way down, you're going to see Deion Brown EMU. I'm just so excited. He's a running back. I'm so excited he's actually getting on the field and getting some playing time. It's a good player, man. He's fast. He's nice. So we'll see what happens with EMU. I'm just glad they pulled it out and I got my money line prediction correct. Shout out to me. They were underdogs and they won the game. Toledo. I told you they're going to cover this spread. This was easy. Toledo out here dominating Mississippi State. Tucker Gleason looking like he's never looked before, which is crazy. If you didn't know, Tucker Gleason has really good wide receivers. He has 2 good wide receivers in Junior Vanderoos here and Jawan Newton. These are good wide receivers. They should be getting these types of numbers every single week. And then Anthony Torres is probably a top 10 group of 5 tight end. Maybe top 5. Nah, top 10 for sure, though. So these are good players that they have throwing the ball to them. And they're beating Mississippi State, bro. Mississippi State, you're embarrassing. Embarrassing. Defensively. Hook dominating, been here forever, dominating, looking great. They got 5 sacks in this game. They're just so freaking tough up front. Love it. So let's see the matchups. Ohio against Kentucky. Kentucky's a 20-point favorite over Ohio. I've told you Ohio very underwhelming. Kentucky's offense is underwhelming, but I don't know if Ohio's going to score in this game. I really don't. So if Kentucky can score 3 touchdowns, they cover the spread. I feel pretty good about Kentucky covering that spread. 20 points. Yeah, I know there'll be an emotional letdown after playing so competitively with Georgia and losing. I know, but Ohio is not good. Ohio quarterback play not good. Linebacker, no. Ohio's not good. Central Michigan, Ball State. It's an MVP level lock. Won't talk about it. Eastern Michigan, St. Francis. I watched St. Francis beat Kent State 2 weeks ago. Is that right? So now they're playing Eastern Michigan. Eastern Michigan should beat them. Kent State, Penn State. You already know the spread. Bet the spread and go to bed. Miami of Ohio versus Notre Dame. Notre Dame's a 28-point favorite. After what they did to Purdue, it makes sense. Miami of Ohio won't score. They suck. Buffalo, Northern Illinois, 14 points. Let's go. Northern Illinois all day. Cover that spread. Western Kentucky, Toledo, MVP level lock. Won't talk about it. A&M, Bowling Green. A&M's 23-point favorites. We saw what Bowling Green did against Penn State. I don't like the way they match up with A&M. Penn State's a lot slower than A&M. I think A&M can cover this spread. South Carolina, Akron. They tell me South Carolina, Lenora Sellers is ready for this game. I know this. South Carolina's defensive line is mean. 28 points? Yeah. Give me South Carolina by 50, by 40, by 35. Yeah, I like South Carolina in this matchup by 35. That feels like an easy spread for me. I'll take it. I would. And that's the MAC. Let me go to the chat one last time. We'll end the show. Thank you guys for being here. Not a long show. I love it. Sorry to anybody who only shows up at 5. We have those people, and they're going to be like, yo, the show's already done at 4:51. My bad, bro. I had to get it done. I got a lot of things going on in life. Rico, someone on X says they will fly out to Georgia and lay you out. Matt in gold. I highly doubt that. I am a 6 foot, 245 pound monster. I lift weights every single day. I work out every day. I've been in the Army for the last 20 years working out. I don't know what people think they're doing when they meet me. It's not going to go down the way you anticipated. I've met defensive linemen. I'm bigger than them. Like, I've met people. I'm not worried about it. I'm a world-class fighter as well. I don't need to sit here and defend myself against anybody. Just meet me someday. Meet me, bro. You're little. You're not in my weight class. I'm built like a UFC heavyweight fighter. I'm okay. I'm not worried about it at all. Good luck. Good luck. It's never happened in my life, just so we're clear. And I'm not worried about it. ULM mentioned, yes, they are, Ty Owens, just once. Come back whenever their conference is up. Akron has some athletes for sure. Yeah, they have some athletes, and they're just not They're not moving me like that, man. They're not getting it done. Maybe it's coaching. Thanks for being here, guys. I appreciate you. Like I said, I'm always grateful. You guys changed my life. I'm trying to change yours. Your friends don't know, but Rico knows. I'll see you guys tomorrow. Peace.